How do UN resolutions address sexual violence in conflict? IHL. Imagine a world where violence leaves scars not just on bodies but on entire communities. When conflicts erupt, sexual violence often becomes a weapon used to terrorize and dominate. But how do international efforts respond to this grave issue? Let's explore how United Nations resolutions tackle sexual violence during armed conflicts through the lens of international humanitarian law. The United Nations Security Council recognizes sexual violence in conflict as a serious breach of international law. These resolutions declare such acts as war crimes, crimes against humanity, or even acts of genocide if used systematically. They stress that all parties involved in conflicts must protect civilians, especially women and girls, from sexual violence. This means that governments and armed groups are responsible for preventing and punishing these acts. Starting with Resolution 1820 in 2008, the Security Council explicitly labeled sexual violence as a tactic of war. It called for the exclusion of sexual violence crimes from amnesty agreements during peace negotiations. This was a big step because it made clear that perpetrators cannot escape justice. The resolution also urged the United Nations peacekeeping missions to include training programs. These help peacekeepers recognize, prevent, and respond to sexual violence in conflict zones. Subsequent resolutions, like 1888 and 2067, build on this foundation. They promote a survivor-centered approach, meaning the needs and dignity of victims come first. Resolution 2067, adopted in 2019, highlights the importance of providing health, education, and social support for survivors and their children. It also encourages survivors to participate in justice processes and decision-making. These resolutions connect directly to international humanitarian law, especially the Geneva Conventions and the laws of armed conflict. These laws prohibit violence against civilians and requiring parties to take all feasible steps to protect them. Sexual violence is specifically banned during hostilities under these laws. They make it clear that such acts violate human dignity and threaten peace and stability. In practical terms, these resolutions have led to better training for peacekeepers, improved monitoring of violations, and targeted sanctions against those responsible. Countries are encouraged to develop national plans aligned with the women, peace, and security agenda. This helps prevent sexual violence and ensures justice for victims. Overall, United Nations resolutions reinforce the legal prohibitions against sexual violence in conflict. They push for the protection of civilians, accountability for perpetrators, and support for survivors. All of this aligns with the core principles of international humanitarian law and the Geneva Conventions, aiming to end impunity and uphold human dignity even in the darkest times of war.